Vashti. The Bible never tells you why she refused the king. It tells you her sentence, that she come no more before him. The one thing she had already declined to do was made, by unalterable law, the one thing she could never do again. The book of Esther opens on a scale, not a person. Ahasuerus reigns from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces, from his throne in Shushan the palace. In the 3rd year of his reign, he makes a feast for all his princes and servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces. And for 180 days he shows them the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty. Half a year of display. Most readers identify Ahasuerus with Xerxes I, whose Old Persian name the Hebrew closely tracks. The Greek Septuagint calls him Artaxerxes instead, and the Persian record knows no queen named Vashti. If the identification holds, the 3rd year is 483 before Christ. The years Herodotus describes as an empire gathering itself for war with Greece. The text does not say that. It says 180 days. When they are over, a second feast, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, for everyone present in Shushan, both great and small. And here is the one verse in the whole book that stops to describe a room. Hangings of white, green, and blue, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble, beds of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble, wine in vessels of gold. The vessels being diverse one from another, the text notes, royal wine in abundance according to the state of the king, and a detail the narrator chooses to keep. The drinking was according to the law, none did compel. The king had told his officers to let every man do as he pleased. Susa, Shushan, was the winter seat of the Persian kings, its palace raised on a citadel above the town, its walls faced with glazed brick in color, archers, lions, winged creatures in procession. The book's marble and gold sit easily in that place. Whatever one decides about the feast, the setting is real. And then, in one verse, the book turns its head. Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to King Ahasuerus. While the king shows the empire his glory, the queen is hosting a feast of her own. That is how she enters scripture. Not summoned, not described, hosting. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commands the 7 chamberlains that served in his presence, the text names all 7, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. That is the whole of the command. It is a command to be displayed. What she was to wear beyond the crown, the text does not say. Later Jewish tradition read those words, with the crown royal, as with the crown and nothing else, and gave her a reason to refuse. Josephus gave her a different one. That Persian custom did not allow a wife to be seen by strangers. Other readers, ancient and modern, have supplied vanity or pride or dignity or defiance. Every one of those motives is imported. Scripture supplies none of them. It supplies one verb. But the Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Refused. Through the same 7 men who carried the order. She sends no message, the text records. She gives no reason. She does not appear. Read the chapter again and notice that the king and the queen are never in the same room. He commands through intermediaries. She refuses through the same intermediaries. And in the whole of Scripture, the 2 of them never meet on the page. One thing more, an observation, not a verse. 4 verses earlier, the narrator troubled to tell us that at this feast, none did compel. Every man drank as he pleased. The one person in Shushan who is compelled to anything is the queen. The text does not draw that line. It simply sets the 2 sentences close enough together for a reader to see it. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. He does not answer her himself. He turns, as the text says, was his manner toward all that knew law and judgment, to the wise men which knew the times, 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face and which sat the first in the kingdom. 7 chamberlains carried the command. 7 princes now rule on the refusal. Notice how the question is put. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law, because she hath not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains? Not what shall I do? What does the law do? A wife's no at a banquet has become a case. It is Memucan who answers, and his answer is the engine of the chapter. Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes, and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, when it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Listen to that last clause. Memucan is already quoting the story as it will travel, but she came not before it has left the room. This day, he says, the ladies of Persia and Media will be saying it to the king's princes. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath, 1 woman, 1 refusal, and in the space of 3 verses it has become 127 provinces of wives, and the order of every household in the empire. Whether the book means us to smile at this is an old question. Many scholars hear satire, a court so brittle that a queen's absence needs a constitutional answer. The narrator's face never moves. He gives Memucan his full speech and records that it pleased the king. Both readings are available. The text keeps a straight face. Whether the reader can is left to the reader. Here's the sentence. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus. Set it beside the command. The command was, bring Vashti before the king. The sentence is, Vashti come no more before the king. The same movement, the same words, reversed. She was punished with the thing she refused. What she declined to do once, she is now forbidden by unalterable law to do ever again. And the law is written so that the man who passed it in his anger cannot take it back when the anger has gone. And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. Better than she. Those are Memucan's words. The narrator never weighs her. Nowhere in the chapter does the text call her proud, or vain, or brave, or wronged. It calls her the queen. And then it stops calling her that. The unalterable law of the Medes and Persians appears again in Daniel, where it shuts Darius out of saving a man he wanted to save, and again in Esther chapter 8, where the only remedy for a decree that cannot be revoked is a second decree that fights the first. The instrument that removes Vashti is the instrument Esther will one day have to outmaneuver. Then the letters go out into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. The full translating apparatus of a world empire deployed to publish this, that every man should bear rule in his own house. And the saying pleased the king and the princes. And then the anger cools. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti, and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. 3 things remembered: her deed, her sentence. The word queen is gone. From here to the end of the book, she is only Vashti, a name in the phrase instead of Vashti, spoken twice. The second time as a crown is set on someone else's head. What became of her, the text does not say. It records that she was deposed. It does not record that she died. Later tradition read that line, give her royal estate unto another, as an execution. Scripture gives you a closed door and no sound behind it. 3 chapters later, there is another queen in Shushan, and she is standing at the door of the same court. Esther explains the law to Mordecai. Whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter. And she has not been called these 30 days. Vashti was called and would not come. Esther is not called and must. The book sets the two women on either side of one threshold, the king's presence, and asks each of them the opposite question. Vashti's answer cost her the crown. Esther's will save a people. The text does not say the one grows from the other. The law in chapter 4 is the standing law of the court, not Vashti's sentence. But it is the same door, and the book chose to open with the woman who would not walk through it. That is why she is named wrong. Tradition has made her a vain woman punished, or a defiant woman martyred, and the text will sign neither statement. It gives her no motive, no verdict, and, since she has no recorded words anywhere in Scripture, no speech, and the narrator adds none. What it gives her is one verb and a sentence built out of that verb turned around. She refused to come before the king. So it was written unalterably that she should never come before the king. The Bible does not tell you what she thought of that. It tells you the empire had to be informed in every language it possessed. The crown Vashti would not be displayed in was set, in chapter 2, upon Esther's head. Queen instead of Vashti. What Esther did with it, and with the door that Vashti had closed, is our episode on Esther. Her name is on the screen now.